Hello, friends. Welcome to another podcast. My name is Dr. Jason Wiggins, and I am your Gen Z and Millennial expert. Today's date is January 13th, 2021, and this is episode, I believe, number 87. So thank you very much. Happy hump day, middle of the week. We're over the hump for the weekly grind if you're working a Monday through Friday shift. If you're starting on a Wednesday and today's your Monday, well, happy Monday. If today's your Friday, then happy Friday. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm excited about a great podcast today. And so what I'd like to talk about today is, when we're young. When I was young, I was always told that if you grow up and you work hard, you can be anything you want. Everything takes hard work. That was ingrained into me as a young child back in the early 80s. Anything is possible. You can get anything you want as long as you work hard. Work hard, work hard, work hard. That was what I was always told from school, from parents. I mean, even the little things. When I was in first grade, I remember a teacher telling me, because my penmanship was absolutely horrible. I had terrible penmanship. And they said, Jason, you're never going to be anything in life if you don't have good penmanship. AKA computers, thank you very much. I no longer need great penmanship. Yes, of course, I need to know how to write, and I write well, but my penmanship is terrible. It was interesting because people always said, you got penmanship, a signature just like a doctor. I guess that's why I had to get a doctorate degree, so I could justify my poor penmanship. As we talk about hard work, we talk about Gen Z and millennials and the American dream. The American dream was built on hard work. You think about the wage disparity from the early 60s to now 2021, inflation has played a key role in how much the dollar is worth today versus what it was in the 1960s. Think about this for a second. In the early 60s, maybe 50s, you could have a family of 8 and have one breadwinner and have a house and food on the table and entertainment. That was how things were. My grandparents, they had 8 children, including my dad. They had one house and they had one income. That was the norm then. Now you need both parents to work, and you can barely get by, depending where you're at, in what state you're at. Here in California, not only does it take 2 people to be breadwinners, but to live a nice, modest lifestyle, you have to make almost over $200,000. That is completely insane. When you look at the American dream, what does that constitute for millennials and Gen Z? It constitutes through hard work. Is hard work going to get you the house? Maybe, but it depends where you live. And now I want to talk about, who do you think would consider themselves the hardest worker? Do you think Gen Z considers themselves the hardest worker? Or do you think millennials think of themselves as the hardest worker? I'll give you a second to think about that. Well, Gen Z actually thinks they are the hardest worker. But the key thing is, they think they're the hardest worker when they want to. That means they don't want to be told when they have to work hard. They want to do it within their own mobility. They want to determine when they want to work hard. But when they work and they want to work, then they work hard. Now let's go back and talk about the American dream again. What percentage of Gen Zs and millennials think that if they work hard, they can achieve the American dream? Well, surprisingly, they're both right around 70-80%, but it also depended on how much income their family made. So if they came from a income that made over $100,000 within a household income, then they thought that it was more likely that hard work would achieve the American dream. However, for those that made less than $50,000, it was only about 55% thought they could achieve the American dream. It just depended on the economic situation of their household that they come from. Now, let's take this into context for a second. Hard work. What does hard work entail? Hard work entails the idea of motivation that you can achieve something. It's a risk versus reward. The more harder you work, then the more likely chance you will get what you want out of that hard work. And in many cases, that's achieving the American dream. Now, the American dream has changed over the years. To some degree, it has stayed the same. It stayed the same when it comes to what people want. And that's typically they want to live in a house. They want a single household family home where they can mow the yard, kids can play in the backyard, and maybe even that white picket fence. But truth be told, the American dream now can also include living in a condo that may not have a yard, but it does have HOA, and they pay for the grounds to be kept in an orderly fashion. Now, especially in California, the American dream has to be deviated a little bit because the houses in California will run you on average of $600,000 to $1 million, depending where you want to live. Now, if you go to other expensive places in the world like Sydney, Australia, or some of those places, again, the standard and the cost of living is extremely high. But getting back to Gen Zs and millennials about how hard they have to work to get where they want to go, let's think about for a second. Gen Zs are willing to work hard because they were born and they were raised during the recession back in the late 2000s, so around 2007 to 2010. So they grew up seeing their family struggle for various reasons. Maybe there was job loss, or they got one of those adjustable rate mortgages and they had their home taken because they couldn't afford those payments because the interest rate was never reduced like the banks said they would be. And then once all the houses started going bankrupt, there was definitely no interest rate to help them. And so they were not able to refinance. So Gen Z saw that. Therefore, at the end of the day, it is extremely important to determine, does hard work achieve the American dream? It just depends what you want. Sometimes you have to deviate from the norm. Maybe that American dream is different for everyone else. American dream can be freedom. American dream can basically be where you have the monetary ability to go on vacations and live a healthy lifestyle. But in many cases, the American dream today is still having 2 cars, 1 house, 1 picket fence, and be able to go on annual vacations while continuing to save money and also save for retirement. However, no matter what anybody says, don't ever think that you don't have to work hard, because I always say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but to be lucky also means you have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort. The things that fall in your lap sometimes are not because of sheer luck. It's because you took the proper steps to get there. You did the legwork to get there, and you sacrificed when you needed to get there. I want to make sure that we understand that if you want something and you work really hard and you plan and you organize and you do everything that you need to do to put the things in motion, and sometimes it's best to think about the outcome. If you have a realistic and outlook and you're optimistic and you see the finish line, you have a better chance of reaping those rewards. And there is no reason why you can't achieve those goals. But step one, you have to work hard. Step two, you have to see the finish line. Step three is achieve that goal, achieve that American dream, and you will feel very good. But remember, as Americans or wherever you may be listening, no matter what you strive for, we always want more. Once we get 5,000 in the bank, you want 10,000 in the bank. You get 10,000 in the bank, you want 20,000 in the bank. Therefore, don't keep chasing your tail. It's like the old kitty always chasing its tail. That's what we tend to do. And you don't want to get caught in that rugrat type of living. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy what you have. And don't always worry about trying to keep up with your neighbors. You aren't your neighbors. They aren't you. Just be happy at the end of the day. So yes, hard work leads you to getting the things you want. But remember, sometimes you don't have to achieve everything you want to be happy, because there's many people that achieve a lot of things. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of houses. They have a lot of cars. But guess what? They may still not be happy. Gen Zs and millennials are great individuals, are a great generation, have the work ethic, and have the idea that you can achieve anything. And that is important, because if you lose that optimism about what the American dream is, regardless of how you determine what that is, if you lose the optimism, you lose the dream. I want to thank everybody for listening. We have listeners all over the world, all around the world, and I appreciate it. I get excited when I see all the listeners, because you guys are the ones that motivate me to continue providing content and finding ideas, finding things that will help you in your day-to-day life and achieve your overall success. So thank you again. Thank you for your listenership. And as always, the best way to get in touch with me is via my email, jason@jwigginsconsulting.com, or via my website, genzandmillennialexpert.com. If it's in the morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you may be listening, be safe, take care, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on Thursday. See ya. Bye-bye.